the first time that I've seen you hit driver, and I gotta tell you, I'm not so impressed.
No, nobody's impressed.
But your potential is light years out there.
All right, everybody. Today, what we're about to do is talk about when to think so you don't stink. That was her line. I loved it. This is Allison. She's my pal. She's a phenomenal coach out here in Simi Valley. That's where we're at, just the LA area. And she's actually about to go peg it in the professional or the PJ championship. Correction. And well, it's because she plays in so many championships, I get confused. But she is a master professional. Also, she's also a doctor, right? So that's like awesome. So that's what we're talking about, the mental part of the game right now. So I know you guys have seen me on Zach's channel. If you play golf with me, you know that this weapon here is friend or foe. Today, so far, it has been foe. And so we're going to talk about how to go through a pre-shot routine so we can execute this well and hit some awesome drives down the pipe, right? And by the way, she like pounded it way past me on the first hole we played together. That was just like a really humbling experience. So, Allison, talk to me. What do we got to do?
All right, so first of all, we've known each other for a little bit,
Yeah.
right? But this is the first time that I've seen you hit driver,
Totally.
and I gotta tell you, I'm not so impressed.
No, nobody's impressed.
But your potential is light years out there. But I think what you need to do is really improve your pre-shot routine to make sure that you're not thinking at the wrong parts of your entire routine. So there's a great place to think where you're thinking about mechanics, and then there's a great place to actually perform and let your body be the athlete and do all the patterns that you know how to do. So the problem is when you're thinking in the wrong spot, you're gonna stink.
Okay.
So we're gonna get rid of this. So in our pre-shot routine, I've broken up the tee box here, where we've got this area back here where you're allowed to think all you want. Any mechanics. I've seen you hit a little heel high spinner.
Oh yeah.
How you want to improve your mechanics, all of that stuff's back here. But targets, yardage, obstacles, wind pattern, things that you want to do, that's all going to happen back here.
Got it.
Before you cross over that line and you walk into performing, hitting the shot, you have to have some sort of trigger to go from more left brain thinking to right brain thinking.
Great.
Okay, so
Love it.
you can use breath, you can use visualization, you can use a snap, you can use any sort of like club tapping. I see you tapping on the ground.
Yep, that's me.
Something that will trigger you from left brain and move you into right brain. Okay. So when we use the right brain, which is more creative, more visual, that's going to allow us to perform a lot better. When we're using our left brain, that's going to be very analytical and logical to help us plan the shot. So come on back here to our think zone.
Let's do it.
Go ahead and make a practice swing, anything that's going to help you deliver this club as productive as possible. So we know that we've hit some high heel spins, anything you might want to change with posture, sequence, you name it, this is the place to do it.
So typically for me, I usually tend to rush it. That's where I get that heel cutter.
Okay.
Right. So for me, it's always felt like the longer it takes for me to get to the top, the better I feel. And I actually have played with other people. They kind of talk about when I'll have like a little, almost a pause. It was like kind of not like Hideki, but noticeable, kind of like drop, sag, whoosh, and then go.
Perfect.
And when it goes haywire, I get a little nervous or on camera or something like that, it tends to get quick and I skip that step. Right. So for me, it's always kind of feeling like it takes a little longer, then let my hands kind of release the club on the through swing.
Perfect.
Usually been the thought when I play well.
Here's the place to have that thought.
Right.
So this is your reminder, this is your cue, have that little bit of pause, take a longer backswing.
Okay.
Then, once you've queued up that body for it, so your brain has retrieved back into all of its amazing memories, it's pulled out how to hit this driver.
Right.
So now that we're back here, in order to transition that walk into the ball, we need to have something to trigger us into visualization. So whether you take a deep breath and kind of imagine all of this goodness coming inside, breathing it out, whether you see your ball kind of like Trapman, some sort of shot tracer, there you go, coming off of the tee. What color do you see it? What shape do you see it? Once you see that golf ball land, now that is your time to walk into the shot. But I want you to time it kind of with your Matt Walters saunter. So like saunter in, if timing is your issue and you need to slow it up to the top, saunter on into that ball so that you're ready. But the moment you cross over this line, no more thinking. Otherwise, you're gonna stink.
Yep, I can attest to that.
All right.
So the interesting thing is it sounds a lot like focus band type stuff that I've done in the past.
Right.
And when I've done the focus band stuff, for me, it was always a game of putting my mind ahead of my eyes, kind of, right? So like if I was, when I'm standing here looking to the target, I see the ball and then I'm looking and I'm let's say right now I'm gonna pick that tree as past the bunker in this case, 'cause that seems about where I should carry driver in this hole.
Yep.
So for me, it'd be like, as I'm walking in, I'm focusing on where I want that ball to go. I typically see the shot shape in my head. The color thing was kind of interesting because it's usually been red. I don't know what that means, but it's usually been a red tracer in my mind. And then, as I'm walking into the shot, right before I get clubbed to ball, I start to take my awareness from target back to the golf ball, and then my eyes meet it. Perfect. Right? And I do that a lot with putting too. That's kind of how I see my putt is I'll bring the ball out of the hole, back to the ball, putter starts and goes. And then right before I pull the trigger on tee shot, pro shot, brain goes back to target, seeing that, and that's all I'm thinking about is target, shot tracer, ripping it. Does that sound about right?
Sounds about right. We're going to change a word, and when you say it, that's all I'm thinking about.
Okay.
How about just doing?
Love it.
Just being. And so the concept of quiet eye is when our eyes are moving within our sockets less than 3 degrees of deviation.
Right.
So if you're fixated on that target and you're walking in to that shot with your eyes really fixated, you're going to have what's called a quiet eye. A very zen kind of moment, a very mindless type moment. Not mindful, but mindless type moment. So instead of thinking about the target, just see the target, integrate the target into your awareness, have those eyes fixated, bring them back to the golf ball quietly, go ahead and get set up. Feel if you want to rotate your head back to the target again, that's great, but you don't have to think about the target. Just be with that.
Right, got it.
Let's see it.
All right.
That was a great rip, Matt.
Coach, Zach's record just got in danger.
That was a great rip.
Now, so, no joke. Y'all go watch the last video. I couldn't hit driver for the planet. But this is like, 30 minutes later? Hour later. But there's a lot to be said, right, Allison, about the performance factor and getting in the way of being able to perform. Right? And in the sense of the mechanics, the minutia of all the worrying about elbows and the shoulders and target lines and yada yada yada, and especially when you're shooting videos too, right? This is like, this is, was that fourth wall? Is that what it is, Zach? When I'm talking to the camera, they know I'm watching me. You may not execute a routine hopefully, right? But then you start to build bad habits. Right. So talk to us about in the sense of, I love the think here so you don't stink there.
Right.
I'm 100% running that back to Tennessee as fast as I can. Let's get on the next jumbo jet out of here. But talk to us about how can we create habits like this? Obviously doing it while we play is critical. What can I do on the range when I'm limited in time for practice? How can I work on that?
Awesome question. So, and this comes up a lot. Like, a lot of students always ask me, how am I going to create good habits? How do you create any habits? How do you know how to brush your teeth in the morning?
Right.
How do you know how to brush your teeth at night? How do you know how to shower at this time? How do you know when you get in the car to put the seatbelt on? You do it a whole bunch of times. And so if you never practice your pre-shot routine until you get to the golf course, it's not going to help you.
Right.
So getting out onto the driving range and walking through with the same intensity that you just showcased here on our 15th hole, doing that on the driving range over and over and over is going to allow you that opportunity to create that habit.
Right.
So habits need to have associations. Habits also need to be run repetitiously. And I'll tell you a story. So a couple of years ago, I was filming a bit with Susie Whaley on Golf Channel.
Nice.
And so I was at KPMG Championship, and my call time was 6 a.m. And I get there super early, no swings under my belt, and Golf Channel throws this ball into the rough and says, talk about how to hit a hybrid from the rough at this tournament. 0 swings. Now, this is a big deal if you're not warmed up. And so as I'm talking to Susie about the mechanical, the technical stuff, using my left brain to teach and coach, we get through that, and then she says, go ahead and hit it. So puts it down into the grass. So in order for me to perform, I immediately went into my habit of my pre-shot routine. So I got real quiet, no talking, stepped back, went through my routine, which allowed my anxiety to decrease, eliminate what other factors I was kind of bringing into my awareness, and hit the shot. And then on live TV Golf Channel, nailed it. So It was great. What is great when you make these habits, it can allow you a place to feel safe and calm when the pressure is rising.
100%.
So if you needed to hit this to beat Zach in your match,
100%.
it allows you an opportunity to quiet your mind, get yourself in the right mental state to perform and hit. But habit is a great way to describe it. You have to do it over and over and over, so that it allows you to feel comfortable and safe to hit your best shot.
And that's a fact.
Do it on the range.
That's a fact. And like what we were mentioning earlier about focus band, I mean, I spent a lot of time with the guys that did that with Graham Bolton and his dad, Henry and Graham. And it was funny because the first time I put focus band on, I couldn't get that thing to go into right brain if my life depended on it. Like, I was mad. Like, spent an hour and a half, had a headache at the end, and Virgil at the time I was coaching with was like, you just gave your brain like an hour and a half like cardio workout.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, yeah, it stunk, right? But the thing that I'm going to tell you guys listening and watching, right, is like what you just saw there is I have practiced that a lot in the past, and I've definitely not done a good job of that here in the last year or two because I haven't played in a lot of tournaments lately. And so that's where that kind of goes haywire for me, right? So back to that, going back to practicing those important values and when to think, when to play, when to do, right? And so I think that's for you guys out there, it's going to take some reps to kind of fill it in. Now, talk to me about this one real quick, and then we'll kind of wrap this thing up in a nutshell. So, the first thing I'm going to get asked, and probably down in the comment section below, is go ahead and throw your questions down here for us, is, what if my mechanics suck? Right? I mean, obviously we all have decent mechanics, and executing a routine like that only goes so far, right? So where is the all right, my mechanics are only good enough to maybe hit a 30-yard slice, but how do I manage that and execute a routine like that and still play it?
That's another good question. I mean, no matter what level you are at, whether you're shooting in the high 100s, whether you're curving the golf ball, routines will help you get into a better state. So if you're thinking about your mechanics over the golf ball, chances are you will actually hit it worse than if you just let your body perform. The driving range is a great place to start to nail in repetitiously what the mechanics are. So after you take your lesson or you're working on a particular piece on your swing, go ahead and do a lot of block practicing. That means practice over and over and over what that mechanic is. But then you have to get to a level of trust where you're going to trust your body is going to perform what you've been practicing.
Right.
So even if you curve the golf ball 30 yards to the right, get into your routine, so maybe you curve it 20 yards to the right. See if you can get just a little bit better.
Yep.
You don't have to be an elite player to have a routine. This is not only for pro players, this is for everybody. So I teach it to my young juniors, and I teach it to players who've been playing this game a long time.
100%.
It allows you to get into your best performance state for you to play your best golf, no matter what your level is.
Well, you heard it here first. Allison knows what she's talking about. If you want to tap into the brain, make sure you go follow her on her Instagram page. Are you doing things on YouTube now too?
Do a little bit.
Dabble on that?
Allison PGA.
There you go.
Yeah.
So make sure you're checking her out on her social medias. We'll tag it down below in the bottom. And guys, if you need to work on that performance game, which we all do, right? Nobody's free of that one. Make sure you watch this video on repeat and just save it, right? And then make sure you like it and comment below if you have any questions for Allison, and I'll be sure to get them to her, right? Thanks for watching, Allison. Thank you for the tips this year.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Great
it.
job.
Let's go.
See you soon.